Pets Add Life, your guide to the latest in pet trends, products, and the joy of the human-animal bond, with Kristen Levine and Chris Bonifati, powered by the American Pet Products Association and Dog TV.
So, Chris, have you ever fostered a pet?
I have not, no.
No? Okay. Well, June is National Foster a Pet Month. June's coming up. So I just thought I'd bring up the topic because I think it's a great way to, for sure, obtain a pet. We actually fostered Tulip back during the pandemic, thinking we were just going to keep her for a few months, but
Classic foster story.
Foster
Vintage
fail.
foster story. Oh, wait, hold on. I think we're live, and we've got our friends here with us. Thanks for joining us. This is the Pets Add Life podcast, where weekly we give you two great stories, interview two amazing guests, recommend two products for you and your pet, and then answer two questions from the audience. Kristen, you excited about the show we have today?
I am. I'm always excited about the show. You keep me on my toes. Too,
well, that's literally the only reason they keep me around, is just for the toe catching and for the impromptu, non sequitur, ridiculous statements that everybody is known to really appreciate. So thank you for calling attention to that. But I think it's time for us to go ahead and get started.
Kristen and Chris present Story Time.
So my story this week, Kristen, involves something that kind of doesn't happen too often. If you're not aware, it's a cicada year. Yeah. So there will actually be two separate broods of cicadas that will start populating the surface world here, starting in the spring and into summer. And that brings a lot of concern with pet owners as far as how their animals are going to interact with cicadas. So there's some good news, people. Cicadas are a very minimal risk to your animal. So those who may not be from an area of the country that have cicadas, they're these giant instincts that spend like 7 to 10 years burrowed and then come out to reproduce and die, essentially. And it's crazy. It's like a locust plague in some places. And so for people who may live in a place where this doesn't happen and then they move and it's their first time, it could be nerve-wracking. But veterinarians agree that cicadas prove minimal risk to your animals. They don't bite. They don't sting. They are rather annoying. But there are a couple of things to look out for. The first being the way they molt. They will leave behind these carcasses sort of on trees that are really cool. They're fun to look at. It's not recommended to let your dog eat those because we know how dogs are. They'll see something, they'll smell it, they'll be like, that's new. Wonder how it tastes. It's not poisonous or anything, but it has been known to cause some upset tummies. So I guess keep them on a tight leash this summer. If you tend to unleash your dog in the backyard, veterinarians recommend cleaning up the cicada moltings anywhere that the dog might be able to reach. But other than that, they're just kind of annoying and out there. So
they're here. I can hear them. Like come dusk. I hear them making those. They're the ones that make that noise, right?
They're loud. They're very loud. They haven't quite popped up here yet, but they tend to be more of a late summer thing up here in the Northeast. So I'm just getting ready to fall asleep to their chattering.
Well, I will be on the lookout for the molting carcasses to clean them up. Okay, so I have a story. And this, I came across this because it is, I mentioned earlier, it's National Pet Foster Month. Yeah. And there's this growing body of research that shows that caring for pets has long-term benefits for kids specifically. Caring for an animal in childhood leads to a more secure human relationships throughout their life, and also better quality of life, healthier and reduced aggression, they say even. But the problem is, what if your family is not yet ready for a permanent pet in the home, or, is unable to make, this long-term commitment or financial commitment? And I know we've had this discussion with our producer for the past few weeks about, his son wants a puppy, but now is not the best time for that because he and his wife are very busy. So, there are this particular article I read in the Seattle's Child is all about fostering with your local shelter. And this particular one's called the Progressive Animal Welfare Society. But this family, they got involved because the daughter wanted a pet, and they now are on like their 5th round of pets they've fostered, and they just are loving it. And they can, it's more flexible than actually having a pet, because you can decide when you want to foster, when you want to take a break. You have a lot of support from the shelter with, they provide the food and the veterinary care. And I know for a fact that shelters and rescues all over the country offer similar foster programs. So if you're at that point where your child has started begging for a pet, but for one of a variety of reasons, it's not the right time yet, you might want to look into fostering.
That's amazing. It's never something that I've considered, because I've pretty much always had a pet when I've lived in a place that allows for it. Mm-hmm. But for those of you who may not want a permanent commitment, or are looking to sort of try on animal husbandry for size before really committing, it's a great way to get involved. It is a service you're doing for your community, and who knows, maybe you'll fall in love just like Kristen did.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's important to go into it, though, not expecting to adopt. I mean, the idea is if you're not ready, then you're not ready. But just look at it as you're caring for this animal during a very important time in their life as they're transitioning to their forever home. And then when you do have to part with that animal, it's more of a, I'm sure it's going to be a little difficult, but it's more of a celebration because they're moving on to their forever home. So
that's a great way to put it. Well put.
Give it a try. Okay, so our first guest today is David Dietz. He has got the best job ever, and I told him that too. So I'm not even going to tell you what it is, but it
no
has
spoilers
to do with,
here.
All right, should I give the P word tease?
No.
Okay, all right. Here
No spoilers.
All right, here it is.
Beyond the Leash, exploring the untold stories of pet passion and professionalism.
So we're joined today by David. David, hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you, Chris.
It's great to have you. So David is the pioneering spirit behind Puppy Party. And Puppy Party is an innovative service that brings joyful, cuddly puppies to all kinds of parties, turning ordinary gatherings into extraordinary events filled with puppy love. That sounds amazing. Just saying those
Sounds
words.
Sounds like the best job ever.
Yes, exactly. So how long have you been doing this for? I heard it's been a while.
It's approximately about 30-something years. So since about 1989, we've been starting it.
So from before I was born, and somehow I've never heard of this.
Rub it in.
I am so upset with my parents for never booking me a puppy party. They're gonna be getting a phone call from me shortly. So why don't you talk a little bit about the service and what exactly a puppy party is and the type of joy it can bring to people?
Fantastic, Chris. So you haven't heard about it because we're the only ones in the entire world that have started it and are doing it. People have started copying us around the country, and even in Asia. I visited there recently. They are doing puppy parties, pigeon parties, rabbit parties. But here in the United States, puppy parties have been dominating events because, kids get tired, parents get tired of the clowns, face paintings, magicians, and all those other children's activities that they do. They want something different. They want something memorable. They want something that leaves a lasting impression that their children will really enjoy. And besides, the kids, everybody is inclusive. They all get to play at the same time. They don't have to wait. And it's a very loving event. Remember, the secret to this is that they are in the need and want mode. All right? They need love and fun. Okay? And so what do they want? Something that supplies that which would be puppies or Game Boys or some other activities. So this is a great way for parents to get the kids away from the gaming and just the self-inclusion for themselves events, and something that's more broad-minded, give them more exercise and more fun and different physical activities. The kids love it. The parents love it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a parent and you're booking a clown in this day and age over puppies, you're going to jail. I'm sending you straight to jail.
But Clowns are creepy.
Okay, I've seen it. All right, I've seen it. I would much rather have the puppies.
David, I'm wondering. I'm wondering about the logistics of a puppy party. Like, where do the puppies come from? Who takes care of them when they're not partying, and all that good stuff?
Absolutely. Great question. And the answers are that we are now highly certified by 3 different federal agencies: the Department of Health, the Department of Agriculture, and USDA. We do get inspections about once a month. Wow. And where our puppies come from could be Connecticut, Long Island, Florida, Pennsylvania. Some of the breeders that we were working with, because we've been doing this for almost 50 years. I started this when I was 10 years old. And so we have a great relationship with the breeders. We know who's quality, and we know what the customers want and what the government regulators want. So we're highly certified. We even have a circus license. We have to have a driver's license for traveling, a permit with animals. Wow. So we are regulated up the kazoo, and all the puppies get everything that they need to provide the best events possible. You know, so
that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Now, are there occasions where the puppies actually get adopted at a party, or as a result of a party, or purchased, or however, if they're from a breeder?
That's always happens, where the people they want to have a puppy come to their house. Now, we're in the United States, and I've been doing this for a long time. Nobody I know does this. Nobody. Where the pet store owners will allow people to play with the dog for a while and then bring the dog back. Nobody does this. We do this. I don't know why they don't want to do it. I have an idea. And we found a lot of success that the people love. They get to introduce the dog to the family. The children get to experience it. The parents get to see whether they have a good feeling about the dog, if they're allergic, if the dog gets along in the house, if they have that bonding that goes with that. And so by having events and parties, this satisfies that event. And then they could decide, maybe they want the dog today, maybe they want it next week. It doesn't matter. We always get homes. All the puppies get homes within a 6-week period. And the best thing about the puppy parties is that the dogs get trained to socialize during these parties. Yeah. Puppies are like babies. They don't know what to do. They have to experience it and see it from other puppies. And then they get involved. When they see the puppies playing, they're not as shy anymore. When they see the puppies eating food, they can eat that type of food. When they see the puppies playing with children or toys, they then compete with other puppies to do the same activities that are fun. And so the puppies actually get homes faster after a puppy party than they do when they never had a socialized event. Yeah, it's really interesting.
And it's got to be great marketing too, because I mean, I'll walk into a pet store and hold a puppy and instantly my heart melts and I want to take him home. I could only imagine if the puppy was allowed to prance around my home for a little bit with a bunch of other animals and see my house. And I could now I'm picturing what my life would be like with this animal. That makes a lot of sense to me. So I was on your website. The website, folks, is puppyparty.com. And I was looking through the FAQs and I wanted to tee you up with a question. Mm-hmm. What is the highest number of puppies that was ever booked for a party? What was that number like?
24 puppies.
24. So what type of party was that? Was that a kid's birthday?
Yes. So we had he wouldn't tell me his background or the name of the father, but he was somebody that was some secret something, a government agent or whatever, and he wanted the best party for his child. He says, I don't care how many can you bring. I said, well, we have 25 puppies available, 24 can go. I want them all. And you could see that on the website. That's actually one of the videos that we did.
Cool.
And they're everywhere, the puppies. So 24 puppies.
That's a lot of puppies, and that's probably a lot of puddles too. So what kind of crew, human crew, attends the puppy parties and does the cleanup and all that stuff? Yeah,
so we have a few people that work with us. and when the puppies do piddle or they go to the bathroom, we clean up right away. It's part of the agenda. Sometimes moms kick in because they're used to changing diapers.
Of course.
They'll help out sometimes, but it's generally very fast and very quick. We've been doing it so long. It's like a mom changing a diaper. They're like, in, out. Father changing a diaper, it's like 30 minutes. What am I doing? We know what to do. It works very well. It's no problem with cleanup. And sometimes we'll put down a tarp, or we'll put down a covering. We'll put down a pet gate that keeps the puppies contained to a certain room. It depends on what the needs are for the particular house or the agency or the hotel or the corporate event. It's very easy to do, and everybody loves it. And we have a great time doing it as well. And I think the puppies have a better time than us.
Probably. Everybody has fun. And I noticed on the website that you do, kids parties, corporate events. What else? There were just any kind of party you can think of.
I saw adult parties, and I'd just like to all the people in my life listening. My birthday's in September. I'm just gonna float that out there. I'm just floating that information out there.
David,
sure.
What is the most unusual party the puppies have attended?
So we've attended.
Or can you talk about it?
Well, yes and no. So let me explain. So theme parties where the people that do have large sums of money, they want to have a grandeur event. They've booked in floral places to make it like a jungle, their apartment, or apparently it was a studio. And the puppies would be running around like a whole entire garden with trees and flowers and bushes and everything. And they would convert that into a gorgeous scenic area. I mean, it was on the 7th floor by Manhattan overlooking the ocean. Gorgeous. Wow. And we have pictures of that as well. The other events that were unusual or crazy are events for the movie stars. So like a Khloe Kardashian, Kim Kardashian's event. They do that, and where they are having a change of wardrobe right in the middle of doing the puppies, and the change of wardrobe is completely
just what it sounds like.
On there. No shame whatsoever. And also we did events for Elon Musk. And that was an event at 3:00 in the morning. And, we couldn't get too close to Elon, but he got the Dodge dog to promote his coin. Dogecoin.
Oh, yeah.
And besides that, we have a lot of interesting people that asked for the event. The last event we did was for Mark Raffaello. That's the Hulk.
Oh, nice.
And it was very interesting. Really nice guy. He wouldn't let me take the dogs from him when he was going home. He says, I'm carrying the dogs to the car. And there he is with his hands full. And I'm going, wow. It's like a movie star. That's like hands-on all the way.
Yeah, well, he may be the Hulk, but he's a big softie at heart.
Obviously.
Well, so life is interesting like that.
David, congratulations on such a fantastic party concept. I just can't think of anything better. Chris, I'm going to get a hold of your wife. We're going to start planning your birthday in September with the puppies.
Amazing. I can't wait. I'll pretend to be surprised. I'll be like, oh my goodness, how did you know? So folks, if you're interested in a puppy party, head on over to puppyparty.com. We'll put that link in the show notes as well. David, thanks again for sharing some of these stories with us. This was a really fun one.
Thank you, and see you again soon.
All right. Take care.
Pets add life.
Kristen, I'm very serious about this whole thing. I've always had this dream in my mind of just like laying down in some beautiful summer grass and just letting 20 plus puppies surround me with their love and cuddles. And now there's an avenue with which that is possible.
Your dream will come true. And I'm serious. I'm going to try to make it happen for your birthday.
That's amazing. Well, it was great to hear from David. Our next guest is Todd Dittman, who is an expert in the independent pet space. And he's got a very interesting story here and we'll hear more from him now. So let's go ahead and listen to what Todd has to say. We are joined by Todd Dittman of IndiePet. Todd, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
So let's start for all the pet parents at home. They probably have no idea what IndiePet is. So why don't you give us a brief introduction to the concept?
Sure. IndiePet is a trade association that represents the independent and neighborhood pet stores. What our mission is to give all of the independents a unified voice to be able to tell their story on how they give an enhanced customer pet owner experience to all those folks who go into an independent store. A few years ago, with all of the changes in technology and changes in demographics and how people shop, there was the story of the independent pet owner stores was getting lost. So, the founders really wanted to unify the voice and be able to tell the story and explain why you get a better experience when you go to an independent neighborhood pet store.
Yeah. Let's dive into that a little bit. Most people, they get their pet supplies from either Chewy or their grocery store or PetSmart, Petco. Sell us what is the benefit truly of going to, I know what it is being in the pet industry, but for everybody at home, what is the answer? What's the secret sauce that makes these independent stores so special?
Well, I would think the first thing is innovation. All of the big brands out there know that when they come out with a new product, they have to go through the independents. The independents are the ones who really save the room for it, learn how to use the products, get better training on the product, and are able to explain the benefits to the customers in person. The other thing is, the staff training. The staff whenever a pet owner comes into a retailer, they have questions. They want to know what's best for their pets. Pet owners care about their animals, care about their pets, and they want to know about nutrition. They want to know about what are the ingredients. They want to know about, what's the best toy, things like that. So it's that staff interaction, that experience, and the indies also predominantly offer services that online retailers can't do. Services like grooming or whatever it might be. So that experience is really what it's all about.
Yeah, I can say personally, I love our independent store in downtown Waynesville, North Carolina, because when I walk in with Tulip, they say, "Hi, Tulip." Like, they know me, they know Tulip, and she gets, they'll point out new products that are available. And I got help fitting her with a harness last week. So the service is incomparable to going to a big box store. Yeah,
and it's been a challenge for the indies to keep up as far as with the ability to tell the same story that all of the big box segments have, and the online segments. There's a lot of money there. So our mission to unify that voice and provide the story to the consumers has been a very popular one, I would say, as we're building this association. We've been around for about 5 years now, and we've grown pretty healthily, I guess is the word, over the last 5 years, just by getting the word out, just by people understanding who we are, what we're doing. It's been a great experience so far.
So Todd, tell us about Neighborhood Pet Store Day. I heard an interview that you did at Global Pet Expo, and I heard you talking about it. Can you tell us a little bit about when that is and what it means for pet parents?
Yes. Neighborhood Pet Store Day is really a reason to go celebrate the experience you get at a retailer, at an independent neighborhood pet store. So it's our consumer-facing initiative. It's Shop Small, just like American Express Shop Small Day. It's a day to go and really celebrate at your neighborhood stores. It's every last fourth Saturday of September, and we celebrate it all year long. We partner with our brands who also sponsor the program for the retailers, and you don't have to be a member to participate in this. You just go to neighborhoodpetstoreday.com, And if you're a retailer, you can put your store right on the map and register for it. And we supply tools for them to tell the story. You go to a retailer for the reasons we have already kind of discussed, for better variety of products, for healthy nutritional products, for better staff education, for just an enhanced experience altogether. But that is kind of our Super Bowl, if you will, is the fourth Saturday of every September, and we celebrate it at the trade shows. We were at Global, and all of our sponsors really helped us promote it and get the word out to the retailers. And we'll do the same at Super Zoo. Last year, we had about 750 stores register for it, and it was a huge hit. We were able to measure increased traffic and increased sales in all categories for the whole category. For the whole segment. So we know that this is the word is getting out to the consumers, and it's effective. So we were really happy with those results this year. I hope they're going to be a lot bigger, and we're just going to keep building on that.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And one thing I'll add, we've had a lot of brands on this podcast. We had a Best in Show Global Pet Expo special episode. And if you are a close listener and listening carefully, when we ask people where they could find these new and exciting products, the answer was almost always at your local independent pet retailer. So if you're listening to this podcast and wondering why we keep talking about the pet industry being so innovative, and you're buying your stuff at the grocery store and it hasn't changed in the past 10 years, the mix of products, well, you're just not looking hard enough. So on your IndiePet website, do you guys have a list of your members? Is there an easy way for somebody to go find a local shop?
We don't have the addresses necessarily, but we do have a directory of all of the suppliers, as well as the retailers on there, and you can reach out to them through the directories on our website. It's on the IndiePet.org, and that's INDIEPET.org. There's a lot of resources on there for our members, and some information for folks who are looking for a blog or just general information about nutrition or new products or what's going on in the independent segment.
Great. Sounds like an amazing resource. So go ahead and check it out. That's INDIEPET.org. For those of you who know how to spell, that's IndiePet.org. Todd, I think that's just about all the time we have today. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to speak to a fellow association professional, and looking forward to celebrating that was National Local Pet Store Day.
Neighborhood Pet Store Day.
National Neighborhood Pet Store Day. I love that. Last day of September. I'm certainly going to be celebrating. My cat could always use some new interesting treats.
That's great. Well, I appreciate the time, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Todd. Keep up the great work.
Pets add life.
I really learned a lot from that interview with Todd. And it just makes me love my independent pet store even more. We have a cute little place here in the mountains in Waynesville. It's called the Smoky Mountain Dog Bakery, but they have so much more than a bakery. We go in there just to, shop around, say hello to other dogs. And so it's just another reminder of how important our local pet supply stores are, support local. And not to mention, they have very innovative products there, because that's often where new product innovation starts, is in your local
new
store.
New products, experts wwho really care. These are people who, the store is their livelihood, not just a part-time job in most cases. So it's great to know that there's folks out there like Todd who are helping these businesses thrive, because they're an enormously important part of the pet care community.
The product of the week.
My product of the week. Product of the week. I'm kind of continuing on my theme here from last week of summer fun with your pets. And we've had a lot of questions come in from people taking care of or interested in owning small animals. And one problem that comes up with small animals is they're typically and historically have been sequestered to being indoor pets, which kind of stinks during the summer when things are nice. And these are animals. They exist outside. Hi, Tulip. They exist outside. So I have found that there are a bunch of companies out there who are manufacturing and producing pop-up playpens for your backyard, side yard, courtyard, whatever you may have, whatever outdoor space.
She's a fan.
Yeah, she's like, get me outside, get me outside. So if you have a small animal, a rabbit or gerbils, hamsters, and you want them to have some freedom outside, if your kids are playing outside and you want them to be part of that experience, there's all sorts of playpens. I'm pretty brand agnostic here. I would look around for something that fits you and the type of animal. Because some animals, like a rabbit, you have to have one of the ones with the overhang a bit so they don't just jump out, especially chinchillas. Those guys are surprisingly good at jumping. And then there's some that are more open for things like gerbils that are really just going to stay on the ground. So do some searching on your own. These things aren't necessarily very expensive. There are some that are more permanent fixtures. There are some that'll pop up, pop down if you're more limited on space. So find the one that's right for you and enjoy some outdoor time with your furry little critter.
I love that. I forgot those existed, but that is a great way for your indoor pet to get some outside, fresh air, get to see the wildlife, things like that. That's a good one. So my product of the week is, it sounds kind of boring, but we've been talking on previous shows this month about saving money. And this is, it's a Vittles vault. It is stackable pet food storage that I've had this thing for, I don't know, at least 10 years. And I love it because I can buy the giant bag of dog food, Tulip's pretty little. So I usually buy like a 20-pound bag and that lasts quite a while, but I can pour it into the vault and then put the sealed lid on and it stays fresh. What you don't want to do is you don't want your, if it's dry food or kibble of some sort, or even like the air dried raw or freeze dried raw, you don't want it just exposed to the air, right? You want to have it sealed to keep it fresh. So I just love those things. And, you can get them to stack. So if you have multiple pets and you put different food in different vaults, you just pop them in there. And that way you can save money by buying in bulk as opposed to buying the smaller bags.
That's a great tip. As somebody with limited space, love me some stackables.
Right?
Love me some stackables. When I found out you could stack a washer and dryer on top of each other, my life changed. My entire life changed.
Oh my.
So be sure to check those out. And now it is time for our favorite segment where we take some questions from you at home and do our best to answer them.
Q&As.
So the first one is from Beatrice. She's in Miami, Florida. She says, I have a senior dog who's starting to slow down, and I want to make sure I'm doing everything I can to extend his quality of life. What are some key lifestyle and dietary changes that I can implement to help keep him healthy and happy in his golden years?
That's a great question. Great question, and I'm sure that's one on a lot of people's minds. First thing I'd say is Kristen and I are not veterinarians. So make sure you're taking your aging dog to the vet so that as problems develop, they're caught early and they can make great recommendations. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and usually dogs become seniors, and it depends on their size, of course, but usually they say like around 7 or 8 is when your dog becomes a senior, and really should visit the vet twice a year for a senior wellness panel. And if you think about it, it's because dogs, obviously they don't live as long as we'd like them to, and so they age a lot faster than we do. So it's important to be monitoring, blood work and, physical exam and those sorts of things so you can catch things earlier on, because it's always easier to either prevent illness or to be treating something that's in very early stages.
Absolutely. As far as just some general health recommendations based on my experience, joint supplements and collagen is a great layup that vets are going to recommend. I think I presented a story about some research about stimulating your dog late as they age and how that helps their brain actually grow while they age rather than shrink, which is one of the effects of an aging dog. But if your animal's not in good physical health, they won't be capable of playing. And Just like people, they get achy bones in their old age. So a good joint supplement and some collagen could help them remain active, which could lead to a much better final chapter for them.
Yeah. And one last tip on the senior dog topic. Please, please, please keep your senior dog, or any age dog for that matter, at a healthy weight.
Yes.
Because overweight and obesity they can exacerbate diseases. They can expedite diseases. So if your dog's at a healthy weight, they're going to live a healthier, longer life.
Great advice, especially for us Americans out there.
Right.
No more. My father-in-law used to get McNuggets from McDonald's in the drive-thru for the dog. And, and the dog somehow still completely fine.
Yeah.
Still completely fine and a healthy weight. But what a treat. I would not recommend that. I would recommend health
maybe
food.
once in a while, like
as a special
on
snack.
occasion.
Not every single time you go to the grocery store. Okay, so I've got a question here, an interesting question that I think I want to take here from Ted in Sacramento, California, who asks, I've just set up a new freshwater aquarium. What are the best beginner-friendly fish species that are both hardy and beautiful to look at? And I've got some input here because
I'm glad you have input because
I've never advanced beyond beginner.
I've never had more than a goldfish.
Yeah, so I actually find goldfish to be a bit finicky and difficult to care for. I point people towards guppies. Because guppies have been known to be very hardy. They are, if you walk into a aquarium hobby shop and say, I need, like, this is for my kid, or I'm an idiot and I need the simplest thing, they're going to recommend guppies. The only piece of advice is make sure it's at least 10 gallons, that tank, which if you're setting up a freshwater tank, you probably want to go as large as you can because the bigger the tank, the healthier the fish, and the more water you could tank. The more fish you could actually own. And any of these beginner fish, one of the things that's going to happen is they're going to have babies. That is part of the beginner process. So they are going to have babies. The other species is known as platies and mollies. And they are known as live bearers, which means if they are pregnant, you won't even know. You'll have no idea. They show no signs. They reproduce really easily. You could start with just a few mollies or platies, and before you know it, you're going to have a full aquarium. They're also quite hardy. It's recommended that you monitor the pH when you have these types of fish. Make sure that water is close to neutral. And again, recommending a tank that is greater than 10 gallons. So that's just a couple of things. I highly recommend. We just talked to Todd Dittman, these independent pet stores.
Yeah, great resource.
Walk into one and ask that carries fish and ask them the same question because you're not the only person asking it.
I'm impressed with your knowledge for a guy who claims to not have much, just to be a beginner level fish keeper.
A lot of this is just I've picked up from Jeopardy. Like it's that bar trivia knowledge where it's like, and now for our next question, what pH level should you be keeping your guppies at? 6.5. Hit the buzzer. It's 6.5. So that's why they have me answering these questions. It's not because I'm an animal welfare specialist. It's because I'm a trivia specialist. But I'm what you get. So deal with it.
Well, if you have a trivia question for Chris or a pet question for us for one of our upcoming shows, you can just go to petsadlife.org/podcast, scroll down, pop your question into the little text box and submit it. Or you can leave us a voice question. Voice question?
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Voice question, voice memo, voicemail. Yeah, you might even hear your voice on the show if you do so. So if you've ever had the dream of being on a Pet Parents podcast, we can make that dream come true. So go ahead and submit your questions. Yeah, that brings us to the end of our show. We will be back next week on Tuesday, as always, to bring you some more wonderful stories, products, guests, and answer some questions. If you liked our show, be sure to like and subscribe. And you know what? This week, tell a friend. Tell a friend that you listened to the PAL podcast. Yeah, and you had a blast. That this was music to your ears. This was audio entertainment on a sublime level that cannot be surpassed by anything else. That's honestly, put that in the comments box too, those exact words. Because that's the level of praise I'm anticipating for such a wonderful show. Until next time, Kristen, I'll see you on Tuesday.
Sounds good.
Pets add life.